Hi, happy Friday. We recently looked at a couple of Auger's numerical sayings, 4 amazing things and 4 unbearable things. And in between those two passages is verse 20, which we gave no attention to. But I'd like to now, because it's actually a connecting link between the 4 amazing things, which are the eagle that soars on thermal updrafts, so high, so lofty, so motionless, so effortless. The snake that moves so smoothly across the rocks. The ship, that enormous container vessel that just moves so smoothly, carried along by the wind. The way of a man with a woman, the progress of love, moving those two autonomous individuals into a union, a legitimate, lovely, blessed union whereby the two shall become one, happy to tell the world. And then those 4 unbearable things: a servant when he becomes a king, a fool when he's stuffed with food, an unloved woman when she finally gets a husband, a serving girl when she outs her queen, the flip-flop of social economic status, the unseemliness of positions in life that just seem inappropriate and unnatural. And then verse 20 is there in between the two. This is the way of an adulteress. She eats and wipes her mouth and says, I've done nothing wrong. This verse is a connecting link between the 4 amazing things and the 4 unbearable things, because it bears traits of both. Specifically, there's a great shock value in the contrast between the way of a man and a woman, that blessed, holy, legitimate coming together of two into one. And then this is the way of an adulteress. This is the way of a man with his bride, and this is the way of an adulteress. Do you see the deliberate, the intentional shock value there? By the way, this is also the way of an adulterer. For statistics tell us that men are more likely to cheat on their spouse than women. So this is the way. Well, what's the way? Well, she eats, she wipes her mouth, and she says, I've done nothing wrong. To this person, the act of committing adultery is as amoral as eating a meal. Cheating on their spouse is no more remarkable than consuming a plate of spaghetti. Some folks have a very casual approach to sin. Why? Why does she? How does a person like her, like him, become insensitive to sin? When did this person first show a cavalier attitude to violating the 7th commandment of God's holy word? Has she no conscience? Romans 2:15 tells us everyone has a conscience. The conscience, that built-in moral compass, is a universal default mechanism, sort of an alarm system that, according to the verse, says their competing thoughts either accuse them or excuse them. The conscience is like an alarm that goes off when we do wrong. And let's just throw the imagery at it. Driving a car, running a red light. The conscience kicks in as the light goes from green to yellow, and we're approaching the intersection, and we start making those judgment calls. You know, do I have enough time? Is it safe? Is there a police officer nearby watching me? Is there a camera mounted to the light? And then it goes from yellow to red. Through the intersection I go. The conscience is like an alarm system. Danger, danger. We will look in the mirror. The conscience will cause us to look in the mirror. Was anybody watching? Was a police officer nearby? Is a police officer in pursuit of me? But does a red light runner start with the red light, or does he start with just the first one he ever ran was actually a yellow light, and nothing happened as he streaked through the intersection, and it was just turning red, and he said, "You know what? This is a no-brainer." And so the next time, there's more red showing as he zips through, and in subsequent red light runs, it becomes used to it. He stops looking in the rearview mirror. It's pretty safe. I can get away with this on a regular basis. And so it is with sin, sort of a casual approach. But what happens to the conscience? Paul says in 1 Timothy 4:2, the conscience can become seared. The conscience will become seared upon deliberate, willful violation. The police officer. We run the light. The police officer is in pursuit, wants to pull us over, and we try to outrun him. We ignore him. In the case of the adulteress, the first time she committed adultery may have been a fearful time, a worrisome time. She may have been plagued with guilt. She may have had second thoughts before she did it. And then the second time, less trauma, less worry. Didn't pay attention to that guilty feeling. Returned to her husband that night, took a shower, put on a clean dress, fixed herself in the mirror, and smiled at her husband, gave him a kiss. And at some point she arrives here in verse 20 and says, I've done nothing wrong. That term, seer, Paul uses in 1 Timothy 4:2, is the Greek word is where we get the word cauterize from. It's a hardening process. It's a dulling process. It renders us insensitive over time to sin. And it's a place that no believer wants to be at. In fact, elsewhere in the New Testament, it says the big goal is love. love from a pure heart, a good conscience, and a sincere faith. And that's what you need, and that's what I need. And tragically, I was absent of the Brazen Woman, the insensitive adulterer. May you and I remain ever so acutely sensitive to sin, the things that please God, the things that displease God, and may we cleave to Him ever so closely, and retain the shock value of violating God's holy law. You have a good day, and I'll be seeing you. I am called back to work from my home. I'll be doing more. I have actually moved my computer today, my work computer here into the kitchen. So I now need to resume giving many hours to my employer, but I hope to still be meeting with you online. So we'll talk to you soon. God bless you.